Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I have a Lenovo IdeaPad Pro 5, the 14-inch Gen 9 model. I'm going to show you how to get inside, access many of the internal components, and show you the ones that you can upgrade. So first thing, power down your computer through the start menu, make sure it's off and unplugged from your charger. We're then going to flip our computer over to access our bottom case screws. Now there are 6 screws in this bottom case. Once you remove those screws, you're going to take a small, flat pry tool. You're going to go inside the seam and gently pry up the bottom case from the rest of your computer. Now in this computer, I found it easier to start near the front 2 corners, work my way down the sides to the rear, but some of you may find it easier to start it in the back corners, do along the top edge here, and come down the sides. I found 2 different ones. So I don't know which one you'll have, but just be aware that both can be the case. After you remove your bottom case, this is what you see for the inside of your computer. Now, as a general computer repair side note, guys, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging anything in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like any help with tools or supplies for your project, as well as any of the replacement and upgrade parts for this specific model computer, I will have a link above, also below in the description, and it will be a list of all those tools and supplies and replacement parts for this computer. Now, before I touch anything in a computer, it's always wise to unplug your battery first. Computers are safest to work on when as little power as possible is running through them. Your battery is right down here along the bottom of my screen. This is a 15.6 volt, 84 watt hour battery, good size battery for this kind of computer. Part number is L23N4PF1. I will have all that information below in the description for your reference, but I will have a battery replacement option in that list I told you about with all of the tools, supplies, and parts for this computer. It's held in by 3 screws near the red arrow, and it plugs into the motherboard near the blue arrow. Now be very careful when pulling on wires or cables in a computer. You can damage them. Sometimes if you pull too hard or incorrectly, you can pull them right out of their plug. So when you pull this out, be very careful. Try to grip it by the plug as much as possible. Wiggle it back and forth. Be very careful when unplugging that from the motherboard. Another way to take care of your battery, guys, make sure you're using a charger that's correctly rated for your computer and not just any charger that physically fits into the port. And also try to make sure you're using it with a healthy surge protector and not just plugged into the wall. I will have a good example of a surge protector as well as a charger correctly rated for this computer in that list as well, with all of the tools, supplies, and parts. And I guess the last thing I'll mention in this video, if you're having issues with your computer not turning on, it could be a bad battery. You may have to replace it, but it also could be something else. Keep in mind that a laptop should still turn on and work with a bad battery as long as the charger is plugged in and working. So if your computer is not turning on, there may be something else wrong with it than just a bad battery. I will have a video tutorial link above, also below in the description, and that will show you the full troubleshooting process I use in my shop to find out why a laptop's not turning on and how to fix it. As far as storage, this computer has a single M.2 NVMe port here. This takes 2242 sized Gen 4 solid-state drives. I will have all that information below in the description for your reference, but I will also include several replacement and upgrade options below in that link I told you about with all of the tools, supplies, and parts for this computer. I will try to have a 512 gigabyte drive if you're just looking to replace one that went bad but not spend more money than you have to. But for upgrades, I will have a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte drive that fit into that 242 size port. Unfortunately, there is no additional storage port for this computer. If you want any extra bulk storage, you would have to go with an external drive. I'll try to have a large external solid state drive and a large external hard drive there for you to choose from, depending on what it's for, if you want to pay extra for the speed or if a hard drive would do the job. The way you work this drive is fairly simple. You have a single screw right there that holds it down. Once you take out that screw, you can pull it out of this port right here. A side note to mention, if you are installing a new drive, you may need to install an operating system onto it afterwards. Below in the description, I will have a tutorial link showing you how to install Windows 11 onto a Lenovo computer. Also, if you are replacing this drive because it went bad, if there's data on it that you would like to keep in mind that it's usually possible to recover data on bad drives. I will have more information about that below in the description as well. As far as RAM, unfortunately, as you can see, there's no removable, replaceable, upgradable RAM in this computer. It's soldered to the motherboard. I will have the RAM information below. You're looking at a max of 32 gigabytes of 64 megahertz RAM. Again, I'll have that below in the description, but there's nothing really you can do with this motherboard as far as RAM upgrades. You have two speakers. You have this L-shaped speaker near the left of my screen and this L-shaped speaker toward the right of my screen. They both plug into the motherboard independently. This one plugs in right here. This one plugs in right here. So these speaker wires are very, very fragile, very thin. Definitely just manipulate the plug. Try not to pull on those wires at all. I will try to have a speaker replacement set for you below in the description in that link I mentioned with all of the tools and supplies and replacement parts for this model computer. I will also mention that if you are having sound quality issues in your computer, if the sound is not consistent across different software, it's probably not a speaker issue, it's probably a system or driver issue. If you want help troubleshooting that, I will have a link above, also below in the description. It'll show you how to make sure all your system and drivers are updated so you can rule that out before coming in here and trying a speaker replacement. Your Wi-Fi card is right here on the left of my screen under the fan. It's held in by a single screw and then two antenna wires snap in here. There is a clear plastic guard on top that you can peel back to gain access to those. And again, the antenna wire, they're just snaps. So you pull them directly up and off of the card to snap them off. They do, however, need to be at a perfect 90-degree angle to snap back onto the card, and you are strong enough to damage them if they're not at the right angle and you try to force it. So it could be a little bit of a pain in the butt to get those back on. Just go slow, be patient, and you will be able to snap those back on. I will have the Wi-Fi card specs below in the description if you want help finding a replacement card, but I will also have a Wi-Fi card replacement option in that list I told you about in the description with all of the tools and supplies and replacement parts for this model computer. As a side note about this kind of operation, if you are having Wi-Fi issues where you cannot access your Wi-Fi options, you can't see any networks, it may be a bad Wi-Fi card, but it's probably a system or a driver issue. I would try to rule that out first before going to a Wi-Fi card replacement. If you want help with that, I will have a video tutorial link above, also below in the description, and it will show you how to fix that situation by updating those specific drivers if you can't access your Wi-Fi options. These are your fans right here on either side of my screen. The vents are connected by this heatsink that goes over your CPU heat spreader right down here. The fans have several screws holding them down. If you're trying to get your fans up, you can replace those independently of the heatsink. You don't have to take the heatsink up to get those fans off. You will have to take off this plastic black guard though to get at those screws and remove your fans. Be very careful when unplugging your fans. Those wires are very fragile. You definitely want to just pull on the plug and not the wires when taking those fans out. Now, I don't know why you guys are here. If you're here just to replace your fans, then this is all you need to know. I will have some fan replacement options for you below in the description in that link with all the tools, supplies, and replacement parts. If you're here though to do something more in-depth, maybe you have some overheating issues, maybe you're really trying to clean out your computer, I will have a video tutorial link below in the description, also above in the video. That tutorial will show you how to fix an overheating laptop. It will show you how to fully clean your fans. It'll also show you how to take up your heatsink and replace your thermal paste. So as a word of caution being in here, anytime you take up your heatsink, and you expose that thermal paste to air, it does need to be reapplied. And in order to do that, you have to clean off all the old stuff from the heatsink and your CPU or your GPU or whatever else it's on. You cannot put new thermal paste on top of old thermal paste. And you also want to put the correct amount of thermal paste down. If you put too little down, it obviously won't do its job. If you put too much paste down, it ends up locking heat in rather than getting it out. So again, that tutorial will be below in the description if you need it. Another shout out to thermal paste. In general, the cheaper stuff will do a good job, but the more expensive stuff will do a better job. So in that list with all the tools and supplies and parts, I will have a couple different thermal paste options for you to choose from. The other thing I'll mention, guys, if you're going into any of these components that require you to access the ribbon cables, this is your touchpad ribbon cable here, this is your keyboard ribbon cable here, this is your LCD cable here coming down through this hinge assembly. If you're accessing these ribbon cables, these black clips are very fragile. The way to operate clips like this is you're going to take a very small, very flat pry tool, and you're going to slide it up underneath that black clip from this direction and gently pop it up. It will open like a book cover. It'll open from this side, the side where you inserted the pry tool, and the hinges are on top. So if you break those black clips, you may not be able to find a replacement, which means that your ribbon cable will never securely fasten in there again. So just be very careful when operating those. And when I do remove a ribbon cable, I always put that clip back down after so it doesn't get caught on anything accidentally. You really want to make sure that you take care of those. But that's the end of the video. That's the majority of the components and things you can access once you're in. If you have any questions, check out the FAQs below in the description. It could save you some time looking for an answer. If you do need to leave me a question or comment, please feel free. I do try to check those a couple times a day at least. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.